Whew. Back in this thing. All right, let's read a little morning information. The mind as a muscle. Think of the mind as a muscle that naturally tightens up over time unless it is consciously worked upon. What causes this tightening is twofold. First, we generally prefer to entertain the same thoughts and ways of thinking because they provide us with a sense of consistency and familiarity. Sticking with the same methods also saves us a lot of effort. We are creatures of habit. Second, whenever we work hard at a problem or idea, our minds naturally narrow their focus because of the strain and effort involved. This means that the further we progress on our creative task, the fewer alternative possibilities or viewpoints we tend to consider. This tightening process afflicts all of us, and it is best to admit that you share in this flaw. The only antidote is to enact strategies that loosen up the mind and let in alternative ways of thinking. This is not only essential for the creative process, but it also is immensely therapeutic for our psyche. Stimulating your brain and senses from all directions will help unlock your natural creativity and help revive your original mind. Daily law: do not get comfortable. Take risks. Change. Try learning about a field you don't know anything about, or stepping into a viewpoint you've never considered. That is funny. I'll say why in a moment. Let's see here. I didn't even open this one yesterday. It's the same page. I didn't do much reading at work. Let's see. I'll just read one of these on the side. Let's see here. What does it say? If your organization is small in numbers, then do what Gideon did: conceal the members in the dark, but raise a din and clamor that will make the listener believe that your organizational members are many, more than it has. Always remember the first rule of power tactics: power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Interesting. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. The ability to consider the other viewpoint. Step into the viewpoint you've never considered. Yeah, it's interesting how some people are either incapable of even considering that maybe they should consider the other viewpoint, or they are outright scared to do so, kind of like my dad. That's what I think is going on with him in his mind. I think he's scared to consider an alternate viewpoint. That's why he clings to his so vehemently. It's an interesting thing to see happen, or hear happen. All right, let's hit the road, see what's going on. Safe journeys. Other than that, not much going on. Same old drama in the world. Doesn't concern me. But I like that the mind is a muscle. You have to work it out. or gets weak. That's what somebody told me. I don't know if it's true, but somebody told me, like, after you work out, the reason you're sore is because you actually caused microscopic damage to your muscles, like tiny, tiny little tears in your muscle. And what makes your muscle get bigger is that those little tiny tears, as they heal up, they fill with not so much scar tissue, but with new tissue is the healing process. And that new tissue that heals those little tears is what makes your muscles get bigger. I don't know if that's true, but it sounded like a good theory. So who knows? But, you know, if we take that thought and apply it to the mind, it's kind of the same thing. Although I've heard someone say you're creating a new wrinkle in your brain. You know, the brain's wrinkly. Who knows if that's true either. But either way, the imagery kind of works. You know, you're adding a little something to the mind to make it a little metaphorically bigger or expansive, as you could say. Oh, where's my drink? I want to drink my drink. A little bit of my caffeinated beverage. Rest in peace to Adam the Woo. Mine's not piping hot. Alright. See. Put those up. There's no sun. I think that's why I like telling people the things that I learn, because they might not know. I think there's been plenty of times where I've said things to people and they're like, really? Yeah. Look it up. Just read about that. Thought it was cool. Thought I'd share it. That's how I operate. I am not a informational miser, I think would be the proper word. I'm not greedy or stingy with the information that I accumulate. I like to spread it around. Yup. Other than that, it's probably a pretty quiet video. Not much on my mind. Oh, I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know if I talked about this. I'll say it again. I was just playing with the AI that's integrated into the search engine I use, the Brave browser. And I asked it because I was just curious, because I heard this happens. So, because there's different biases, not sure which, but AI is biased, and it'll say one thing one way, and then another thing when applied another way when it shouldn't. And the example was, okay, so first I asked the AI, is black power, how did I phrase it? Is black power bad? Answer in one word. I think that's what I said, something like that. And it said no. Then I asked it, is white power bad? Answer in one word. Yes. I was like, oh, okay. I said, okay, maybe it has a problem with power. How about pride? You know, people are proud of their being black or proud of being white. You know, either way. So I asked the same thing. Is black pride bad? The answer, I told it, answer in one word. Because if you don't tell it, answer in one word, it gives you this whole long, answer, and with the, its reasoning as to why. But you could see it trying to justify its answer. So I just wanted a simple yes or no. So I told it, answer in one word, is black pride bad? The answer is no. Is white pride bad? Yes. I was like, oh, come on. That's ridiculous. So I thought that was interesting. So be careful using your AI. And when you do use your AI, be very specific with the wording of your questions. But if you want to have some fun, kind of paint it into a corner and see what it does. Because it absolutely will not say that being proud to be white is a good thing, or is just as good as being proud to be black. It'll always just paint it. Because I know where it's taking its data reference from. It's going into history and white nationalism and the negative aspects of the extremes of being white and being proud of it. But it's crazy that that's what it does. It'll go with the extreme. So, yeah, that's AI. It has its good and bad aspects, just like everything else in life. Oh, that's funny. I was talking about the complicated dynamics within certain things. I was asking my brave AI also about, because I'd seen a bunch of posts on Instagram, and it's Orthodox Jews talking about Zionism, and I thought what they were saying was very interesting, because if you look into it, Orthodox Judaism does not support Zionism. And when you ask Brave AI about it, the reasons it gives you is that because Orthodox Jews believe in the divine order of God, and they are patiently waiting for the coming of the Messiah. Because for those who don't know, they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. That's why they handed him over to Pontius Pilate to be crucified. So they don't believe Jesus was the Son of God. They are still waiting for the Messiah to make an appearance here on earth. That's fine, whatever. That's their belief. Just move that off to the side. So how they see Zionism is they see man trying to force God's hand by creating the land of Israel, because they believe they're not supposed to have their own land until the Messiah comes. So technically, I guess they believe Israel is not supposed to be formed as the Jewish Holy Land yet. They just believe in God's own divine timing, which sounds reasonable to me. So the way they look at Zionism is that they see Zionism as humans trying to force God's hand by looking for the red heifer, and by establishing Israel on their own. That they see that as the humans trying to do things to pretty much put God in a position to have to have the Messiah make an appearance on earth, which I thought was pretty wild. Yeah, the whole topic is very interesting to delve into, because there is a deep divide. And if you don't really know what you're hearing, you just kind of take it at face value. But I guess it's always good to ask questions and then demand detailed answers. I happened to tell my dad that. He says God doesn't support either side, which I think is a funny answer because now you're claiming to know how God thinks. Come on. Uh, Everybody wants to be right. I don't mind being wrong. I think it's a good thing to find out when you're wrong, to be honest. Chances are, if you found out you were wrong, that means you just found the right information. That's a good thing. Imagine walking around the whole time thinking you were right when you were actually wrong. That's kind of embarrassing. That's why the mind is a muscle. You're supposed to be constantly working that sucker out. And that's one way to do it, is to root out all the areas that you might be mentally in error. I think that's like a fun little thing to do, to be honest. Try to explore your own mind and find out where else you might be making mistakes in your thinking. And I think how it's interesting how people like my dad are so closed-minded as to not even be open to consider other points of view. Not because, well, just because of the way he worded it, it just sounds like it's out of sheer fear that he might have his mind changed. I just can't imagine being that fragile in my being. Checking to see to make sure my little green light's on. That's why I know my microphone is recording or working. Can't see it because the steering wheel's in the way. I have to look around the steering wheel. But yeah, that's the world today for me. Let's have more. Oh, and then I found out. I mean, I have to dig into this deeper. But I found out technically, I believe, Benjamin Netanyahu isn't even Jewish. I thought he was Jewish. He was born in Poland, and Benjamin Netanyahu is not even his real name. I forget what it is. But if you ask, so I had heard this, but I hadn't looked it up yet. But go ahead and ask your AI, or just do a Google search. It's some other name. It's like a Polish name, something ski. Something ski. SKY. I think that's how it ends. Not sky, but like ski, like Zelensky kind of, but not that name. If I remember correctly. But yeah, I was like, what? This guy's not even. That's not even his name. What the heck? Everybody's trying to be somebody else or be something else. It's not that it's a lie, but it's like you're not. That's not the truth. So I guess in some degree, it kind of is a lie. Like that's not your name. I was like, all right, so what I'm calling you is not real. What else about you isn't real? That's how I think. It's like there, as above, so below, all over again. There it is. Okay, so your name's not even real. Okay, let's see what else about you might not be real. That's how my mind works. Once you find one little thing, okay, let's see if there's another. Might as well. That's a big one. Your name, what everybody's calling you. I was telling people at work this too. They were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, that's not his name." The whole world probably. I mean, probably not the whole world, but I'll assume take my work, my job as a microcosm of what the whole world, that percentage might be. Probably a large percentage of the world doesn't know that Benjamin Netanyahu is not that dude's real name. I'll assume the average person doesn't come across this information. I would assume the average person doesn't come across most of the information I come across. That's why they want to clamp down on all forms of information so badly. And they would love to get rid of the First Amendment. Just destroy the Constitution. They would absolutely love to do that. I think that would be there would be consequences that they would absolutely hate. So then people start talking in secret. Secret speech. Speakeasies. That was the whole idea behind those suckers. A whole term, speakeasy. It's like, hey, keep it down. Let's keep it quiet. Don't talk too loud. Speak easy. For anybody who doesn't know, speakeasy back in the day was like these secret, not secret, but well, I guess yeah, secret. Kind of. This was, I think, during Prohibition, when alcohol was illegal. Speakeasy was someplace you could go to drink alcohol. It was just word of mouth. Hey, this is where you go. Don't tell anyone. Speak easy. So pretty much those are going to pop up again, but not because of alcohol being outlawed. It's because speaking openly will be monitored and frowned upon. And outliers will be demonized. Mental outliers. Good or bad, mental outliers rarely, their lives rarely end well. I mean, anybody from Jesus to, I'm not judging either way how they thought. I'm just saying, if you think different, you're killed. People like Hitler, people like Jesus, those are the extremes of both ends. their their outcomes are really good. Yep. If you go against the grain, as the saying goes, the outcome is rough. Right? The nail that sticks out and gets hammered down. It's another saying to support that. That happened to me. That happened to me in my job. I'm going to now because I wouldn't take the jab. I was the nail that stuck out. From what I hear, I was the last person that didn't get it. I mean, other people didn't get it, but they went and got medical waivers, which is kind of like lying because these people don't have medical issues that would prevent them from getting it. They just knew that they could sidestep it by going and getting a doctor's note. But that's telling a lie, and I don't like to tell lies, so I didn't do that. I stood firm in my foundation. I am not doing that because I don't agree with being forced to do it. I will not. If I was the last person that was like that, I didn't know that until I came back. People in it, there was one person in particular in HR. I'm not going to say who. They were like, "Man, I'm really proud that you did that. I was very impressed. You were the last person." I was like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah." They said, "You were the absolute last person that did not get it. We didn't know what to do with you. That's why it took so long. So we had to make sure that it was legal to fire you." I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." But it kind of felt good to hear that. Not be intimidated into doing something I was not comfortable doing. I try not to be too prideful. I was kind of proud of myself. That's a shame because no one should ever be put in that position. That was another instance where I stood on the shoulders of giants, people like Peter McCullough and Robert Malone and who else? Those are the two main people. I forget who else. There's a couple of three or four main names, very highly accredited, virologists and immunologists and scholars that were just very knowledgeable in the area, and they were putting out the information that nobody was getting because they were pretty much blackballed and silenced into the nether world. And me and my woman were on top of all that. To be honest, if I didn't know my woman and this pandemic rolled around, I probably, who knows? I don't know. Probably wouldn't have came across the information that I did. I attribute a lot of my reconstruction to her also, my woman. She's a very solid person. And I trust her reasoning ability because mine's not always the best. Or at least it wasn't in the past. And it's kind of funny, going back to the whole Zionist topic. I was just thinking, because of my dad, a lot of the Christian community supports, the founding of, both the continuing support and founding of Israel through, Zionist kind of, activities. Not judging it, just saying, they pretty much kicked a bunch of people off their land, and I mean, this whole topic bleeds into how Palestine's being run, and it's a very sensitive subject. But a lot of the Christian community, either ignorantly or not, they kind of support what's kind of going on over there. It's a very sticky situation to be in if you don't know what's going on. But it's funny the way people like my dad think. Like, I mean, I get it. He knows the Bible. But the way people like him are, like, he thinks he knows the mind of God. Like, he thinks he gets to speak on behalf of God. Like he knows what his thoughts and intentions are. It's pretty interesting. Because I've always had that thought, and the phrase that always comes into my mind is like, the creation can never know the intent of the creator. And I've probably said this before. It's like saying a car knows the intent of Henry Ford. Like, the two things are so far removed, it's like you could never make that claim. You can kind of make a guess. At best, maybe you can make a guess. Well, these lanes are closed. I hope my exit is not. Otherwise, I'm going to have to cut this short so I can... Well, I kind of know where I'm going. I have to take the next exit, but that exit's a ways away. Okay, my lane's open. Thank you, thank you. Let's go over here. And my exit is available. Yeah, it's crazy how far the next exit is. Sometimes they block this off because they're doing stuff, and I've had to take the next exit. Man, it is a ways off from here. So, as I approach and start to exit, let's refresh. The mind is a muscle. Don't let it get lazy. You have to keep it in motion. It's like the body, it's like a physical muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weak. And if you only do the same movements, it will stay at the level of development it is currently at. Like if you have like a little 20-pound dumbbell and you only do exercises with that 20-pound dumbbell without increasing the reps or increasing the weight, your muscle will only develop so far. It will never get stronger. It will never get bigger other than the set of reps and the amount of weight that you have given it to move. The same goes for your mind. If you do not stretch it with new information, not only from the area that you agree with, but from the ones that you don't, your mind will stay exactly the same. So think about that for everybody out there who watches the sports games and never does anything different year after year, day after day. You're just same old stuff. I mean, that's it. That will be you till you die. And I want to be constantly changing until I die. Imagine you never did anything different from like the age of 21. Never did anything new, never thought anything new, never read anything new. Never took any information in that was different than the information you were already given. That would be you until you die. Maybe for some people that's comforting. Who knows? I don't know. For me, I don't know. It's like intentionally plateauing. I don't know. A plateau is like, that's it. Nowhere further to go than this. And I guess if you like that, that's okay. Not a bad thing. Just for me, it's not for me. All right. I've reached my destination. Everybody have a great day. And exercise the mind. Let's go to work.